Okay, welcome to Wednesday night Halach and Chassidus, taking place on Thursday night. And it's not really Halach and Chassidus per se. During the 3 weeks, we've been focusing on Hilchos Beis HaBechira of the Rambam, which is Halacha. And we've been doing a little bit of Pnimius as well, a little bit of the inner meanings. And this Sikha is not that we rank or rate Sikhas, but this is a very, very rich Gishmak Sikha about the Aron and the location of the Aron. And it's going to be a lot of halacha in the Rambam, and then we're going to conclude, God willing, with some chassidus, some pnimius, inner teachings. And the whole sikha is a very, I had the opportunity to learn this sikha with someone earlier this week. And let's do the best we can. We may end up skipping certain parts. I'm not sure exactly, just for the sake of time. I always go back and forth whether we should try to do a separate topic each week, which has its advantages, to do a new topic each week, or sometimes something needs to span over a few weeks. So I don't know. This is either we're going to continue next week, or we're going to try to do it today. We're going to have to see how it's going and how it works. The Rambam Reish Perek Daled Hilchos Beis HaBechira La'achshu Kodesh Ma'hayu B'Kodesh HaKadoshim. The Rambam in the beginning of the 4th chapter of Hilchos Beis HaBechira, which is the first halachas that appear in Sefer Avodah in the Rambam, which are all the halachas of the Beis HaMikdash, different types of karbonos, and who's allowed to enter, when they're allowed to enter, and so on and so forth. So Hilchos Beis HaBechira is the halachas of the actual Beis, the actual Beis HaMikdash, as well as the kelim, the utensils in the Beis HaMikdash as well, which we're going to come back to that later. So the Rambam writes, after he discusses what was in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, he writes, Evan Hoysa B'Kodesh HaKadoshim B'Ma'iravoy. There was a stone in the west of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, towards the west. And upon that stone, right, aka the foundation stone, I think they call it in English, right? Evan Hashasiyah. Right. There was a band, no, called Evan Hashasiyah at some point. Wasn't there a band? I don't know. I think there was. The Aron was resting on that foundation stone. That's what they call it today now, the Dome of the Rock. The Rambam then continues as follows. When Shlomo HaMelech built the Beis HaMikdash, and he knew that in the end it's not going to be permanent, and that Beis HaMikdash is going to be destroyed. What did he do? He built a location to hide the Aron. That would be lamata, that would be underground. In the matmuniyos, a hidden place, amukois, a deep hidden place, alkalkolos, like this, hard to get to and whatever. I don't know, hard to get to, but zigzagging. That's what Shlomo HaMelech did. Then, in another generation, comes along King Yoshi, Ahuva Yoshi, HaMelech Tziva. He instructed, he commanded, at his time, after the time of Shlomo HaMelech, that they should now hide the Aron in the location that Shlomo had built for the Aron. How do we know that? Says the Rambam, Shenemar, Pasuk says in Divrei Hayomim, Vayomer LaLevim HaMevinim L'chol Yisrael LaKadeshim LaHashem, the Levim, who were the understanding Levim. Don't worry, we're going to get to Kohanim later, don't worry. They said to all the Jews, the holy Jews, Tnu es Aron HaKodesh b'Bayis HaShabana Shlomo ben David Melech Yisrael. Place the Aron HaKodesh in the house, meaning in the special location, underground, that Shlomo ben David Melech Yisrael has constructed for it. Ein lochem masa b'kosef. Don't carry it on your shoulders, because who carries the Aron on the shoulders? Only Kohanim, not Levim. So don't carry it on your shoulders. Aton now, Ibdos Hashem Elokeichem, now go serve Hashem. And together with the Aron, Mate Aron v'chulu, together with the Aron was also buried, or maybe not buried, but relocated to this underground place. The Mate Aron, the staff of Aron that we just read about in Parshas Korach, the one that blossomed, the almond blossomed, right? The staff, the chulu, etc., also including the flask. Is that the right word? Of mud. Flask. The jar. The jar. Maybe that's better. Flask more sounds like more flask of oil. Yeah. The jar. Jar is a better word. The jar of mon. Period. That's the Rambam's description. Then he continues. None of this came back in the second Beis. So it was only in the first Beis HaMikdash that they had the Aron in the Even HaShasiyah, in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Comes Yeshiohu, sticks it underground, and that's with the Mate Aron, etc. That does not come back in the second Beis HaMikdash. And the Gemara in Yuma, Daf Chaf or something, if I recall correctly, discusses various things that were different between the second Beis and the first Beis. Certain miracles that happened in the first didn't happen in the second, and so forth, and including the Aron Kodesh. And furthermore, says the Rambam, this is all halachas in the Rambam, 4th chapter of Hilchos Beis HaBechira. Va'af urim v'tumim. This one I don't. We don't need to try to translate that one, right? The urim v'tumim. The breastplate. The breastplate. There's a machlekes, I think, whether the urim v'tumim is the question or not. Right. It's machlekes about this, I think. But okay, the breastplate that they would ask questions to, and it would somehow mystically respond and give answers to people's questions. So the urim v'tumim So the urim v'tumim was there. It wasn't buried with the Aron, but lo hayu meshivim. It didn't give answers. The Ruach HaKodesh. We have about the questions. Like the Mefarshim are asking numerous Mefarshim, the Yaibetz, the Chassam Sofer. What does this have to do with halacha b'chlal? What kind of book is the Rambam's Mishnah Torah? What kind of sefer is it? Sefer of halacha. So here he gives a whole long message. Shlomo HaMelech knew that it was going to be destroyed, so he built a place underground, and it was underground, and it was deep, and it was hidden. And then came Yeshiohu HaMelech, and he commanded everybody, guys, now put it under there. And there's a pasuk that says the Levim, and don't care. What does this have to do with halacha? It's very nice information. It's good to know. As Jewish people, we want to know this information. This is not halachic information, however. So it doesn't seemingly belong here in a halacha sefer. What difference does it make, not historically, what difference does it make halachically to know how the Aron was hidden, when, and by whom? What's the difference? But if the Rambam does not get involved with hashkafa, with philosophy, leave that from Moreh Nevuchim. That's a different sefer. The Rambam does not get involved with telling us history and maises. He sticks strictly to halacha. That's the whole tachlis of the Mishnah Torah. So if that's the case, now what is this whole story all about? It makes a difference who hit it, when they hit it, where they hit it. What's the difference? This pasuk, that pasuk. What's the halacha here? Furthermore, you say to Mizu, granted that the Rambam is telling us this story, the story is not so pashut. The story is actually machlokes. But machlokes shnuya. It's not so pashut. It's machlokes and Masechta Yuma. What exactly happened? So if that's the case, we're dealing with something that's not even glatt. It's not even smooth. It's machlokes, and there's no halachic nafkamina. There's no practical application of this. I mean, obviously, we're going to come out in the end, but there is obviously, right? So if that's the case, then came l'shema machriya haRambam k'divrei ha'echad me'achshel u'churein and he's in a geladina. Why does the Rambam? He's machriya here. He's paskening according to one opinion in the Gemara. What are you paskening for? When does a Rav pasken? When it's nogel halacha. If it's not nogel halacha, what are you paskening for? What are you telling me? There's a machlokes in the Gemara in Yuma. Where was the Aron hidden? Either it was hidden where this place that we just described, underground, in this place Shlomo HaMelech built. Another opinion says it was actually hidden in the Lishkas HaEtzim. No. There's a halacha here. Comes the Rambam, oh, it was in this location. So what are you getting involved in paskening a non-halachic issue? It's known, by the way, that a Rav has siyata d'shmayim when he passed into Shiloh. The mice of the Noida B'Yehuda, when he came to Prague, to be the Rav in Prague, I guess there were some people, I guess every community has the people that want to, right? So they wanted to test the Noida B'Yehuda. There it is. It was a big chosh of a Rav. Let's see how So they asked him 10 shilas, 10 halacha questions. And he got them all right, except for one. One of the shilas he answered incorrectly. And they were like, see? He passed him incorrectly. And his response was impossible. It's not possible. He said, no, you did. You're wrong. It's not possible. There's no way I will pass it incorrectly. It must be that this shaila that you're telling me I got wrong was not an actual halacha shaila nogei l'maisa. Stam, you're asking me a question. And they said, you're right, but how did you know that? So it's just simple. Denying that when I pass in a shaila, I have siyata d'shmaya. The Eibusher is helping me. So it's impossible for me to get a psak din halacha wrong. I can't get it wrong. It's not possible. But when you're asking me stam a question, so I don't have siyata d'shmaya. It's not nogei l'maisa. You're not coming to me asking me, is the chicken kosher or is it not kosher? In such a question, I will not get it wrong because I have siyata d'shmaya. But when you ask me stam a question, so how am I answering the question? Based on my seichel. So my seichel, I could be wrong. And taka, I made a mistake. Yeah. Neither be Yehuda. Okay, so comes the Rambam and paskins a shiloh that's not even a shiloh. There's no halachic. They buried it here, they buried it there. No, what's the difference? You hear? Okay, let's see the answer. But Meforshim Tirtzu. So Meforshim answer this question again. The Yavitz Nafasam Sofer. Shetzirich Godel Yesh L'Rabbeinu B'Dover Zeh. Oh, it's actually critical. The Rambam must say this information. Why? Because he has to remain consistent with himself. He has to be consistent with l'shitoser, as we say, right? He has to go l'shitoser. So let's fast forward a little bit. We're in chapter 4 right now. Let's fast forward to chapter 6. He has to be consistent. Chapter 6, fast forward. He says over there as follows: the sanctity, the holiness of the Beis HaMikdash never ceased to be. The Sover Rabbeinu the Hachmilsa the Kedusha Zabayis Loy Botla Ozlo Command Sfira Le Orbim Koimin Nignos. That this fact that the Rambam holds that the Kedusha of the Beis HaMikdash Loy Botla and is still in full effect, the Kedusha is still there. The reason why he says that he's going in chapter 6, according to the Shita that says, it's because, why is the Kedusha not bottled? Because Oren Bim Koimoy Nignos. Because the Oren is right there. And therefore, the Kedusha is still there too. The Oren is there, the Kedusha is there. And in fact, there's a halachic difference there. The halachic difference is regarding the halachas of Bias Mikdash. Who's allowed to go in? Who's allowed to enter different places? It depends. Kayin, Levi, Yisrael, Torah, Yutame, what's going on over there? So it actually has halachic implication to know that the Kedusha of the Beis is still present. And the reason for the Kedusha of the Beis is because the Oren is still there. Bim koimoy, in that's place. The Haksiv, the Beis Midrash, the Pasuk says. That's the answer to the Meforshim.
So that's enough to mean.
Yeah.
You need to know where you can go right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Didn't we learn about this already? Didn't we learn something else?
Yeah, the watching.
No.
We said in the last video too.
No. What do we say? No. Yeah.
I remember.
This answer, why? The Rambam himself says something else. The Rambam says, you know why the Beis HaMikdash, the Mokem HaMikdash is still holy? Because the Shechina. Well, I thought it was the Aron. No, it's because of the Shechina. Nothing to do with the fact whether the Aron's here or it's not here. The Kedusha of the Mokim is because of the presence of the Shechina, which is why you have to guard it, right? We're guarding or watching, not the stones, or because of the cover of the Shechina. That's why the place is Kodesh, is because of the Shechina. The Shechina is never bottled, it's always there. So the Kedusha of the place has nothing to do with the Aron Kodesh. So what? Who cares where the Aron is? It's a difference. That's not why the place is still Kodesh. The reason why the place is Kodesh is because of the Shechina and Shechina in the B'Teilim. You hear? So that what are they answering? The Kedusha is because of the Aron. No, it's not. The Rambam himself says it's not why it is. Additionally, if we're going to say that the reason for the Kedusha of the place is because the Aron is there, so let the Rambam say that. He could have just said, Aron bim koime mikdos. The Aron is right there. Tell me a whole story, a whole Maisa about Shlomo HaMelech, Yoshio HaMelech, and it's hidden like this and it's hidden like that. Lamai naftimu. What do I need to know that information for? If it's because of the Aron, just tell me the Aron is there. And I'll know, oh, that's the Kedusha. But he doesn't say that. Rather, what does he say? We're going to have 4 questions now. 4 gewaldige questions in the Rambam. Aleph, number 1. Soisem bona boy mokim lignois bahar. The Rambam says, bona boy, he built there a place to hide the Aron. Boy, boy, in it means in the house, in the Beis HaMikdash. But not the Kodesh HaKadoshim. If we're going to say that the very fact is that the Aron is where it's built, the Rambam doesn't even say that. I'm sorry, that the Rambam, that the Aron is hidden in its place in Koimoy. The Rambam doesn't say that. He says, bona boy. Boy means in the Beis. In general. Nothing to do with the Mokum of the Aron per se. Question number 2. Rambam maybe as a Kosovo, move a Gemara. The Rambam leaves out, Rambam is on the one hand quoting the Gemara, on the other hand leaves out the pasuk that the Gemara quotes. Vayishom ado yemazeh. Vayishom means and it was there. What was there? The Aron was there. The Gemara quotes this pasuk. And the Aron is there ad hayoymazeh. Some people want to say that there was in some building in Rome they have the Aron. Heard such a thing before? It's b'chlal not true. The pasuk says, "Vayihi sham ad hayom hazeh." The Aron is there until today, 2025. The Aron is still there.
What do you mean sham? Sham in that property, in
that location,
but not in the Kodesh Kodeshim.
Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. But here he says, that the Aron even today is in its place, meaning the place where it was hidden. But the Rambam doesn't quote that pasuk. It's a very geshmak pasuk. Vayihi sham ad hayom hazeh. Very clear. The Rambam doesn't quote it. The Gemara quotes it. The Rambam leaves it out. Question number 3. V'ikir. The main thing. Why does the Rambam tell us that Yoshiohu, King Yoshiohu? So what? So he hid it. He instructed they should put it away. Yoshiohu, this king, that king. That's nice. Again, it's important information. I want to know it because I'm Jewish. But what's the halacha that Yoshiohu hid it? It's over here, it's over there. It's either bim koimoy, means directly, basically under the Evan HaShasiyah, or maybe it's Melishkos HaEitzim, which that's the Machlokes in the Gemara. No, what's the difference? It's there. Good, it's there. It makes a difference where it is, who hid it. 4th question, and final question for now, but this 4th question is going to have 6 parts to it. You say to Mizu, even more so. These 2 things. Number 1, the very hiding itself of the art. And number 2, who hid it? The Rambam is going, writing as if he can't run out of ink. So much ink he has. 6 things that Rambam writes that seemingly don't belong. Number 1, Aleph. Shlomo HaMelech built it. So what? That's a halacha. Again, Jewish history, yes. Halacha, no. Number 2, Shahamokim hu lamato. What's lamato mean? Underground. B'matmuniyos. Hidden. Amukois. Deeply hidden. Calculus. And it's zigzagging. Okay, shkoyach. It's underground. I get the point.
Or hidden. Just say it's hidden.
It's hidden. Yeah. There's a lot of words over here. Remember that the premise is that everything in the Rambam is betachlis hadiyuk, is extremely precise. That's the premise. 3, Yeshio HaMelech Siva, Yeshio the king, which other Yoshiyahu did I think we were talking about? Yoshiyahu HaMelech, the king, Tziva, he commanded to hide it, not just that he hid it, or that he said to hide it, but he commanded to hide it. Lo stam gonzo, not just that they put it away. Could have just said they put it away.
Yeah, but why would he have to say command to hide it in the place that it was already?
I have no idea.
It's
a
like,
very
it makes
good
it sound
question.
like it's like it's a new place. Like,
Yeah.
but it's the same place.
I have no idea. It's a very good question. Number 5, maybe I'll let Aimi Akosov. He brings up a proof. He has to prove it's not enough to tell us that Yoshio hid it. We're on head. He brings this long pasuk, which doesn't mention Kainim. Long pasuk, we're going to get to that. That mentions the Levim. And the Levim, you should bring it and don't carry it on your shoulders, and they're going to hide. Shkoyach. Number 6, and last for now, but not actually last. But additionally, on top of all these questions, who might think that calls Gamatevis the Levim and Bevina Choisal Kadesh Hashem Ben David Melech Yisrael Elech Hamazah because of Ativ Dos Hashem Lokechem. He brings the long pasuk, the Levim, the understanding they go to every Jewish person that are Kadoshim, that are holy, and they say to them that Ben David Melech Yisrael again, along David Melech, which other David? The David Melech Yisrael. Don't carry it on your shoulders. Now goes Rabbi Hashem. What does that have to do with Yoshio telling them to hide it? Say Yoshio said to hide it. That itself we don't know why. But once he says Yoshio said to hide it, now I need to know that it was a Levium. And they go tell them. And they tell them like this. And they tell them like that. What's the difference? What is the halachic relevance of all these details? Gimel. I know there's. I said that we're going to be more. That was done with the questions. That was only done with the questions for now, because now we have more questions. Yeah, I'm sorry for the oven. The pashtus. We're going to have 4 things over. 2 things over here. 2 things. The pashtus loshan Rambam. That from the Rambam who writes, he knew. Shlomo HaMelech knew. How did he know? He knew the Beis HaMikdash was going to be destroyed. So therefore, he built a location for the Aron. Mashma, this implies Shlomo bonas hamokim bebeis hamidrash medas atzmo. Very unusual. Oh, I have a good idea. I want to build a place to put the Aron Kodesh, because one day this place is going to be destroyed. We're going to need to save the Aron Kodesh. I better build a hiding place for it. You're just making stuff up. Who gives you the right to do that? The Tamua is a big kasha. The Eibusher commanded every single detail of the Beis HaMikdash. The pasuk says in Divrei Yomim, every single detail was instructed by the Eibusher. Shlomo comes along. I got a better plan. We need another room. Let's make another room deep down. What are you doing?
Does anyone ever ask why hide it in the place that's going to be destroyed? Even though you're hiding it, like it's going to be destroyed.
We're going to get to that. I'm trying to move quickly so we can. The questions we're going to get. Yes. I don't want to move too quickly. Second question, Beis. The Rambam then at the end, after he mentions the Aron and Shlomo and Yoshio and all these details that we don't understand, he like adds in. Oh, by the way, guys, I just want to mention one more thing. The Urim V'Tumim were there too, not hidden. They were in the Beis HaMikdash, the second Beis as well. They just didn't work. It's like my car's in the driveway, but the battery's dead. What are you telling me? And what does it have to do with the Aron? You're talking about the Aron, right? Good. So tell me about the Aron. Okay, Shlomo HaMelech, Yoshio HaMelech. I don't understand these details, but we're gonna work through that. But the topic is clearly the Aron Kodesh. Comes the Rambam and like stoops in another detail, the Urim V'Tumim, which were present in the first Beis and functioned in the first Beis, were present in the second Beis but didn't function. L'chura, af sheyesh l'Urim V'Tumim tzad hashavim ma'Aron. Even though you could say, no, there's a common denominator between the Urim V'Tumim and the Aron. What's the common denominator? They didn't return in the second Beis HaMikdash, right? Both were not available, so to speak. But why are you telling me about the Urim V'Tumim in Hilchos Beis HaBechira, the laws of the Beis HaMikdash? Where do they belong? Kim Eitzel Bigdei Kahuna. They belong in the discussion of what the Kohanim were. Which halachas are those in? Hint: it's not in Hilchos Beis HaBechira. You know where it is? Which is later in Sefer Avodah. It's in the same book, Sefer Avodah, but it's not in Hilchos Beis HaBechira. 8 chapters. The topic of discussion in those 8 chapters is not the garments of the Kohen or the Kohen Gadol. It's not the topic. Now all of a sudden you're telling me about the Urim V'Tumim, whether it is the Choshen, not the Choshen exactly. That belongs in a completely separate area of halacha. But the Rambam puts it into Hilchos Beis HaBechira. And on top of all this, by the way, the Rambam does mention it. The Rambam Taka mentions it also in Hilchos Klei HaMikdash. So he's anyway mentioning it there. So what are you talking about it over here for? Well, Shema maybe Rambam means that can Hilchos Beis HaBechira. Why did the Rambam bring the Urim V'Tumim here in Hilchos Beis HaBechira? So we must say it must be more than just the fact that they didn't fully return in the second Beis, like the Aron wasn't there, the Urim V'Tumim were like half there. Rather, we must say they must be that the Urim V'Tumim are intrinsically connected to the inyan of the Aron in some way. That's why the Rambam brings them over here in Hilchos Beis HaBechira with the discussion of the Aron. Are we going too fast? Okay. This is a typo. See the Daled?
Yeah, what's it given?
This is because it's a typo. This is meant to be Daled, period, not Daled end parentheses.
Oh, the next subsection.
Right.
Correct. Okay. So we have a bunch of questions. We're not going to answer them. But unfortunately, we're going to answer them by giving more questions. That's always the way Jews work. You answer a question with a question, right? But Yuvon Zeh, we will understand this. So now another diuk, another precision analysis, another question we're going to ask. Where does the Rambam mention this halacha? In the beginning of Hilchos Beis HaBechira, the Rambam writes, the following is the ikir, the main things in the building the Beis. Oisin by Kodesh, the Kodesh HaKadoshim, Ulam, all the different areas, right? The Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Ulam, the hallway, etc. All the different areas of the Beis HaMikdash. And then he says, he also writes, and they also made the kalim. What are the kalim? The menorah, shulchan, the aron, etc. And he tells you the shulchan was over here, the menorah was over there, the mizbech was over here, etc., etc. Now, that's chapter 1. The prakim shela acherizeh, in the following chapters Beis v'Gimel, chapters 2 and 3, he goes more into the description of what the kalim, the menorah, etc., were like. What did they look like? What was the shape? What was the shulchan like? Where were the poles? How tall was it? It's all the details of that. That's chapters 2 and 3. Then in Perek Dalet, chapter 4, which is the chapter that we're officially in right now, he comes back to Tzuras HaBais, the actual architectural structure. Koislei Habayis, the walls, Heichel, Sha'orim, the gates, B'chulu. That's the structure. So chapter 1 is the Binyan Habayis, what are the main things in the Binyan Habayis. Chapters 2 and 3 are the Kalim, and chapter 4 is the architectural structure. Lefiza Tzarech Bir, so this requires explanation. Harei ha'oran shaykh l'chur l'klei hamikdash. Is the Aron part of the Beis? Or is it one of the kalim that go in the Beis? So seemingly, it's one of the kalim. It's like the menorah. Someone asks you, what are the kalim in the Beis HaMikdash? What are you going to say? You're going to say shulchan, menorah, aron. That's what you're going to say. So if that's the case, then which chapters should Rambam explain the structure and the details of the aron? Chapters 2 or 3? 2 and 3, 2 or 3. But he doesn't. He puts it in chapter 4. Chapter 4, the topic is the architectural structure of the actual building. Almost as if to imply that the Aron is not a keli. The Aron is not one of the keli. But the Aron is part of the actual Beis HaMikdash itself. Part of the actual structure. That's what it seems to imply. Right? The Aron is shaykh to the kelim. Like the menorah and the shulchan and so forth, and mizbeach. So all of a sudden comes to Rambam chapter 4, when the topic of chapter 4 is the architectural structure, and he gives us up as a whole long story. Shlomo HaMelech, it's going to be destroyed. Let me build a place for it. Then comes Yoshi. Oh, guys, stick it under there now, and it's under, and it's deep, and it's a whole Megillah about this. So according to the Rambam, says the Rebbe, this indicates that Lafi Shitas HaRambam, the Aron being in the Kodesh HaKadoshim is an indispensable detail of the building itself. Meaning, in order for the Beis HaMikdash to be the Beis HaMikdash, the Aron has to be here on the Even HaShasiyah. Otherwise, it's not the Beis HaMikdash. Something's lacking. It's a part of the bias. If you knock down a wall, something's wrong, the bias. If you take away the Aron, something's wrong in the bias. You're missing something. You're not just missing a keli. If you take out the menorah, you're missing a keli, which is a problem, fine, but you're missing a keli. The bias is not chaser if you take out the menorah. The fish shitas harambam, from the fact that he places the Aron in chapter 4, which is a discussion of the bias itself, is mashma. This implies that the fish shitas harambam, the Aron, the location of the Aron, is a fundamental part of the building of the Beis HaMikdash. Did this make any sense?
Yeah, but according to the Rambam, the second Beit Mikdash wasn't just missing the Aron; it was more than that.
Good. We're going to get there. Very good. Yeah, it's a detail in the actual structure of the Beis. That is to say, it's not just a kli, like the other kelim, the mizbeach, this mizbeach, that mizbeach, etc. That happens to be that it's in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, that happens to be where it is. No, not l'fishitas Rambam. It's an actual part of the building. It's part of the structure.
Wouldn't it still be part of the structure
if it's
feet over a different direction? Why would that hiding place make it part of the structure and not some other hiding place?
That's a good question. We're going to see a little bit more about that as we go further. God willing. Why is the Aron an intrinsic chelik, an intrinsic part of the Beis? Because the Aron is what turns it into a Beis LaHashem. That's the Shekhinah. The main presence of the Shekhinah is right there, which that's the Rambam. The Beis HaMikdash is the presence of the Shekhinah. I will make myself known to you there. That's why the Rambam doesn't even mention the Aron when he lists the kelim, because according to the Rambam, it's not one of the kelim. It's part of the house itself. But now we have a big question. I think I just heard someone ask this question. Based on this explanation that we're saying now, if the Beis HaMikdash was no longer in its place, because Rambam, it must be in this place. So if that's the case, then in the Beis Sheni, the Kodesh HaKadoshim was incomplete because the Aron wasn't there. Where's the Aron? I don't know, it's hiding somewhere. It's not in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Where does it belong? It belongs in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And if it's not there, you're lacking in the Beis itself. You're missing an ikr in the Beis Hamikdash because the mokoim of the Aron is in the Kodesh HaKadoshim on the Even HaShasiyah. That's where it needs to be, and that is part of the actual structure of the Beis Hamikdash. And if it's not there, then the Kodesh HaKadoshim is deficient. That's your question. So it turns out that the entire Beis Hamikdash Hasheni, there's no real Kodesh HaKadoshim, and therefore there's no Beis Hamikdash.
What's worse than that?
What? How's it worse?
As we said before, the whole idea of the Mikdash is the Shekhinah. You said the Shekhinah is tied into the Aron.
Yeah.
The Aron's not there.
The Aron's there. It's hidden somewhere.
In that place.
Wherever it is.
So it can't be outside of Yerushalayim. It's outside of Har. It has to be in the
Well,
Har.
Yeshua, put it over there.
Fine. Okay, but we have to say it's there in order to say the Shekhinah is there also.
Yeah. According to that, yeah.
According to that opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the second opinion you said in the Gemara, where
It's right there also.
Also,
I have the map.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's on the
in Har.
in yeah. What are we supposed to do now? To explain, maybe a Rambam call Arichos al derech genizas ha'aron. That's why the Rambam tells us this whole long story about hiding the Aron. Because the Rambam is actually trying to tell me that there actually was nothing lacking in the second Beis Hamikdash, even though the Aron was not in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Even though the Aron is not on the Even HaShasiyah. This needs to be explained. HaBechira was to explain that how is it not chaser? Masha kozva Rambam be'esha bona shlemes habayis bona by malchim lignas by ha'aron kavonosei bezel loy lachriya hecha nignas ha'aron shaharei mai da'ava hava. We mentioned before that why is the Rambam getting involved in paskening where they hid the Aron? What's the difference? Halachically, what's the difference? So the Rebbe says, Taka, there's no difference halachically. It's Taka, and that's not what the Rambam is trying to tell you. He's not actually trying to paskin per se. Where is the Aron? That's not what he's saying. After all, whatever happened, happened. Like, it is where it is. Was a din b'binyan habayis. The Rambam is coming to be machadesh, to teach us a novel understanding, a novel halacha, a chidush, which is as follows. Where does the Aron belong? B'pashtus. Ask any Jew. They're going to tell you it belongs on the Even HaShasiyah, and the Kodesh HaKadoshim. That's where it belongs. But it's not there, right? Because that was a whole Maisa where Shlomo built another room for it. Yeshua hid it over there. Nebuch, because of the Golos. Because the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, so they had to put it somewhere, right? That's B'diavad. Chatchila, where does it belong? The Kodesh HaKadoshim. And the hidden place is B'diavad. So the Rebbe is going to say now, no, that's what the Rambam is telling us. It's not b'diavad. That's also l'chatchila. We're going to see. Genizas ha'aron ein rak inyan shel b'diavad v'leis b'reir. It's not just that we had no choice. We're being attacked, so we better hide it. No, that's not what happened. Ela shemelchatchila nikba b'binyan habayis she'aron ki'ilu yu lo shnei mekoymes bebeis hamikdash givaldik. The l'chatchila plan was that there are actually two locations, not one location and a break in case of emergency location. No. There are two locations, and they are both l'chatchila, the place, the full-on location of the Aron. Number one is a mokim golui. There's the revealed location of the Aron. This writes itself. Right? The Chassidus jumps off the page here. There's a revealed location of the Aron, Kodesh HaKadoshim, Even HaShasiyah. And number two, there's a mokim l'gunzoi l'mata mekodesh HaKadoshim. There's also a place that it's hidden beneath the kodesh HaKadoshim. But matmunis amukos v'alkalkulos v'af mokim zeum l'chatchila cheret me'abayis. And that hidden location beneath the kodesh HaKadoshim is not b'di'evid. It's not the silver medal. It's also the gold. This is also 100% the location of the Beis of the Aron. That is to say, the Genizas Aron ain't in the noise of the Beis HaMikdash. Hiding the Aron is not something extra that never happened. No. It's not just that they needed a place to hide it in case of calamity, which happened. No. The real reason they needed it is because it's actually part of the binyan habayis. They have two locations. Just like in order to have the proper Beis HaMikdash, you need an open, revealed location for the Aron. So too, you also need a hidden location for the Aron. Which has to also be the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Which means that the Kodesh HaKadoshim is eternal. It's preserved because the Aron is still there. So the Kodesh HaKadoshim is also still there. That's why it says when Shlomo built it. I mean, this was part of the plan of the building, was to have two locations. You ever summer home and a winter home? He knew it would be destroyed. God forbid to say Shlomo decided on his own, I'll build a hiding spot for this. God didn't tell you to do that. No, that's not what happened. When he built it, when he built it, he needed to know. He needed to know. He must know. He did know. We're going to get to later how he knew. He had to know this structure I'm building right now is not going to last forever. It will be destroyed. He had to know this fact, and therefore, at that very moment, he had to also build a hiding place for it under the ground. The Aron has to be, as we know, in a specific location, the Kodesh HaKadoshim. If Shlomo Melech on his own went and dug up a hole, not knowing why he's digging the hole, Hashem just said to go dig a hole. Okay, God, I'll do whatever you want. That's not going to be okay for the Aron. Why? Because he digs a hole, but he won't be makadesh that area. He won't sanctify that area for the din of the Beis HaMikdash. He wouldn't sanctify that place to be the home for the Aron, and therefore the Rambam. That's why the Rambam tells us Shlomo knew it would be destroyed, and that's why that's why he built a place for it. This was part of the plan. This wasn't the backup plan. This wasn't b'diavad. Part of the plan was there's going to be the revealed place and the hidden place. So when he built it, when he built that, he knew why he was building it, and therefore he imbued it with the proper kedusha, the proper sanctity, that it will at some point house the Aron, and by doing so, that hidden location has the din al pi halacha of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So there's two Kodesh HaKadoshim. There's the actual Kodesh HaKadoshim, then there's the hiding place, which has the same halachic status. So when they moved the Aron to the hiding place, it's still in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And it's still there. Ad hayom hazeh, the pasuk says, which the Rambam doesn't quote. But the clock makes me very nervous. What is with the difference? What? There's a lot to go.
Yeah.
You can't finish in 10 minutes. So
We could do Vav, no?
Vav we could do. And then what, continue next week?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's a shame.
You're gonna go to sleep without knowing the answer to the questions though?
No.
Well, we know it's in a safe place and it's in its place, right?
Oh, thank you.
Right,
It's been koimos
still, right.
right now. It's been yes. Okay, good. So it's tucked away, and everything is good. It's where it needs to be. Al piza yufon gama tam shekoz v'rama sheisho melch tziv v'gonz v'mokum shebana shleimim. Now we can understand why the Rambam needs to tell us this halachic. This historic detail. The Yoshioah Melech hit it again. We asked before, what does it matter who instructed it should be placed underground? What's the difference? In order to further prove that the location of the Aron was underground was not a b'diavad. That lechatchila, this is the plan; it will be hidden underground, and that is a part of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. When did they hide it? Not during the Churban. Not during a time of calamity. Not during a Zman Shel b'diavad. Ella rather, b'sha'a shebeis hamikdash lo yihaya b'sakana klal. When everything was gishmak, the Beis Hamikdash was not being threatened.
Can you give us a timeline when you're
Yeah, what does the show have to do with it? So it says the Rebbe, ki yadua, toikif yad Yisrael b'zman Yeshiohu. We were mamash in charge at that time. Yeshiohu Melech was a powerful king. The Jewish people were at the top of our game. So Yeshioah Melech was not a time when we were threatened by enemy armies. We were not worried that they're going to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. Yeshioah Melech is in charge, Givaldik, and he says, anyway, hide it. Hide it from what? There's no danger. Exactly. Because hiding it is not just because there's a threat. It's not because of danger. That would be b'diavad. If we're hiding it because we're being attacked, that's b'diavad. I don't want to hide it. But no, it was hidden dafka. That's why Rambam tells us it was Yoshioah who did it. So we should know, who was Yoshioah? The powerful king. Yad Yisrael, he says, Toikif Yad Yisrael. In fact, the whole process of putting the Aron into the hiding spot was the same basic process as when the predecessor, Shlomo HaMelech, brought the Aron into the Kodesh HaKadoshim itself. So the same thing is mirroring, the same thing is happening in history. Shlomo HaMelech brings the Aron in with a whole procession. And Yoshioah does the same thing.
with song.
Song and the whole thing. We'll see. Number one, Aleph. Yoshioah Melech right? The Rambam tells him it's Yoshioah Melech. Similar to how Shlomo Melech did it before. And number two, Hachnosa necessary they are Levim. The Levim, what do Levim do? They sing. Which is similar to how the Kohanim brought it in. Okay, Kohanim, Levim, whatever. They're making it a big tumult. It's a beautiful thing. Now listen to this. Gewaltig. Furthermore, to indicate even further, to strengthen the idea that the location of the Aron beneath the ground, in the hiding spot, that Shlomo HaMelech prepared in advance lechatchila when he built the Beis Hamikdash. It was at the time he built it. And then the Aron was placed there, not at a time of sakana, but in the days of Yoshioah Melech with a whole procession and a whole situation. The pasuk says, "V'lochin b'dayik hakosov loymar aloshin tinu es Aron Kodesh babayis asher bonashlam." Place it there. Tinu. Tinu indicates this is where it's meant to be. This is the proper location. Nobody's removing the Aron from its place. Place it over here. You're not removing it. You're not hiding it. You're not chas v'shalom disposing of it. Zeu inyan Shamnesina babayis. The pasuk emphasizes that it's now being placed where? Babayis. Where in the bias? Underground. That's the bias. Underground is the bias. Just like above ground, on the Shasiya is the bias, underground is also the bias. Tanu, put it over there in the bias. Not in a hiding spot, not in a dangerous relocation, temporary relocation. This is where it belongs. Maybe a Rambam gamas sima kosov ein l'chamatzav because of ato. That's why the Rambam brings the rest of the pasuk to the Levim. Don't carry it on your shoulders. Again, only the Levim carry it on their shoulders. And the Rambam then quotes the rest of the pasuk ato. Now go serve God. This is the avodah. The avodah is that the Aron is hidden. This is the avodah. That even though from that point forth we no longer see the Aron is not in front of our eyes on the Even Shasiya. It's not visible to us. The Aron is now hidden beneath the ground, very deep, hidden in some tunnel, whatever it is, in the place that Shlomo built. Don't think that the Aron is not there, God forbid, just because you can't see it. And that is the matzah from the time of Yeshua Melech on, that the Aron is hidden. Don't think that that's not avodah. Don't think that. And now you can't carry it on your shoulders, and the kohen is not going to carry the Aron anymore. Now it's underground. There's no more carrying of it. There's actually nothing missing in the avodah of the Beis Hamikdash, even though the Aron is hidden. That doesn't detract one iota from what we are capable of in the avodah of the Beis Hamikdash. The avodah is in full force. Ki im ivdu as Hashem Elokeichem b'Beis Hamikdash, says the Rambam, says the pasuk. Ki lo nechsa adezeh b'binyan habayis, because nothing's actually lacking. The Aron's not there. Yes, it is. Place it right there in the bias. That happens to be it's hidden. Now go serve Hashem. You're not lacking anything. You can't see the Aron. You don't get to witness the miraculous experience of that. Well, you don't get to see it in the Kodesh HaKodashim anyway, but it's hidden. It's still there. And it's in full force. And we are in full force. And we are fully capable of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu exactly as when the Aron was not in the open. Go ahead.
In the second bite, during Yom Kippur, the Kohen go into the empty Kodesh position?
I think so. I don't know what he
So
did.
nobody went to the hidden place.
Yeah, you go to the hidden place now. Well, I should have known we wouldn't finish it.
Got pretty close.
But I guess we can pause here. It's a little bit of a cliffhanger.
No, it's easy.
We can continue God willing next week. A little bit of a cliffhanger. But we have to wrap up numerous of the questions that we started with. He's going to go next time right to the Urim B'Tumim. What does the Urim B'Tumim have to do with anything? And we're going to continue with this whole discussion of the revealed Aron, the hidden Aron. This is all still a halacha discussion. It sounds to me like it's not. It's all halacha. But we're going to get, God willing, to some things at the very end. But still, we have more halacha to discuss about Golus and Geula and the hidden Aron and the revealed Aron. So I guess we'll continue with Hashem next week. Hopefully, we'll continue next week in the Beis Hamikdash. Mashiach will give the shir. One of the jobs of Mashiach is going to be a Rav. He's going to teach Klal Yisrael Torah. So hopefully, we can continue the sikh with Mashiach. The shir is fun to sit with you guys, but it'll be much more enjoyable with Mashiach and Beis Hamikdash. Very speedily and with Hashem. Thanks everybody for coming.
The Aron.
What?
We look at a lower place at the Aron.
No lower it is. No lower it is.
How many boys do you have?
I have just one.
Mandel?
I don't have a good one. Yeah, I start now. So.
Oh, now.